serious gaming podcast about video games.
This is episode 102.
102.
It is 102, isn't it?
102.
Should we say 102 or 100?
102.
Do you reckon we should pronounce
Sounds
it?
more epic.
102.
No, say one, then, but it's
Episode
100.
100.
100.
And 2.
I'm just going to say 102.
Maybe we could do a combination. You go 100 and I go and 2.
But no, one, just, it's 800. It's 800.
800?
No, 800.
800?
It is a single 100 and 2.
And 2.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody on the internet, and Douglas sitting across from me. How are you today, Doug?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Lucas, thanks. Yeah, no worries. Doug introduced me. That's cool. This is the Trusty Crowbar, and this is episode
102.
We're going to do something really cool there. But
None of that was cool. That was the... I think...
No.
How is it after 100 episodes, I feel like our intros are getting worse?
They get longer and more faffier.
Yep, that's good. We just need to get bang video games. That's what we do. Did we even say that?
We could just make a podcast which is just a faffy intro for 45 minutes. I think some of our podcasts have gone for half the episode of just faffing about.
We could do that. We've got an apology tonight.
Yep.
Stupid Reese. I don't know whether he'll listen to this or not, so I could just talk rubbish about him. He's too tired, the little girl. He's finished his first week of his...
New job. Did stuff all weekend. Not that the rest of us do as well, but bit tired this week. I think his excuse was more like, I was on last week's episode and I was going to have that one off, so I'm owed an episode now. You know?
And I can understand, like, as a co-host, main host of the show... Yeah, didn't feel like it.
Yeah, just couldn't be bothered coming on.
That's fine.
That's it. So anyway, it's just Doug and I this week, and we're going to discuss all things video games, going back and doing a couple of news articles which I want to bring up and stuff. But let's start off with what you have played, Doug.
Oh, we're just diving straight on
into
in.
it.
Bang. I have played some Sky... Oh, what is Skylanders, but I have not played Skylanders.
Well, you did point out that the image did look similar to Skylanders, like the logo of... what is it? Sky Saga. Sky Saga. Now, this is an early access game at the minute, or...?
No, I've put it through my Steam library, but it's not.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, I should look up... So, this was an interesting game. I think it did actually feature... on Kotaku like several months ago. So it's been in development a while. It's
I'm gonna have a quick look at it. Well,
it is up to they've been in a closed alpha this week, which was it's been in alpha I think about a fortnight. Last week was like the US and Canada, and then they actually kind of nice. They had an Australian launch as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no Australian specific servers. They said they want to, but they're just. So there is occasional...
The graphics of the website, like the logo, yes, definitely looks somewhat Skylanders-y, you know, and like the name is Sky Saga, so I guess you're sort of mentally linking the two and stuff.
Infinite Isles is the full title.
The art style of what it is really reminds me of that Stonehearth game that you've been playing quite a bit, and a bit more, and like Crossy Road. Okay, now I'm linking Crossy Road into it because it's more of the aesthetic of Crossy Road, which I sort of see in it. The smooth, sharp edges. That it's really
except the difference still compared to all of these is it's textured.
Yeah,
it's not. So a lot of the other games that have been popping up of late, when they're really chasing that sort of 8-bit feel in a 3D realm, they feel that way because it's just flat. Yeah. It's cell shaded. It's not, which is whatever game I was talking about last week.
Grow Home.
Yep. There we go. And this does have elements of that, but then it's fully textured. Now, to explain what the game actually is, the most obvious link as well is it does have some Minecraft style mining elements.
So it's a large block world.
Yep.
Is in there, and it's inhabited by lots of little items and stuff which are not built by the blocks, but they're a separate sort of item. So think of like
no,
the
but they
chest.
are. Well, they are. Everything in that game is crafted.
Yeah, you craft it all and stuff. But what I'm saying is like the chests in Minecraft. There, it's a separate entity to the blocks of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I do just want to point out, looking at the background of the actual website, it looks very Destiny. Like, have you got far in Destiny yet?
No. So
Okay.
So just to give a quick cap for anyone who doesn't know, definitely check it out. I've been loving playing it. It's in open beta this week, open alpha, or closed beta. Closed alpha, which I think you can just sign up for, if I could get my words out. So it's Minecraft style mining. Every character, it seems, or every player has their own home island, which at this stage I don't know if your friends can go to. I think it's your own little safe haven, and from there you jump into individual worlds, which I'll show you today. So there's little, there's like crystals, gems, whatever, and depending on what style crystal you have, you put it into a little portal thing, and then you can go into different instanced worlds that other characters are actually in. So they're common grounds.
Yeah.
At this stage, no PvP, but there's animals to fight. There's bandits and various caves and dungeons and things.
Yeah. I was watching you play, and you came across like a troll or something like that in.
Yeah. So there's like just random one, and they, as far as I'm aware, it's not procedurally generated. It's just a standard. There'll be an island you're on, and then it's very MMO in the fact of like, so that's common area, and then that just auto repopulates. I don't know how that works or what the time period is or anything either. So it's an MMO which totally differentiates it from Minecraft, which, apart from they've added the end in and said this, I don't know if there's a story, if there's going to be, but you have different things that you do level up in. So you level up as an engineer, you level up as an architect, you level up as a knight, and from there that then unlocks other items you can craft and better items essentially as you progress on. So there's actually a structured progression, and you can add quests to help you if you're like, so I want to specifically chase the knight things and whatever that's going to unlock from there. Well, you can add that as a quest as you go. Yeah. So you can dynamically add quests. There's and then there's rewards for the quests, and then also I haven't seen any yet, but there's also like a tab for daily quest, which is probably similar then to Destiny as well, or a lot of games, like just trying to give you that extra incentive to log back on every day. But it's really cool. So
it looks very targeted, like at the younger audience. Like it's a game which, like, so at work there's like little cards that you can buy which have like, dollars to go towards MMO style games which are targeted at kids, and this is definitely going to be one of those where like the mum or the dad, if they ever get to like retail with like little card base which buy coins or something like that in the game, you were telling me.
Yeah, so there's coins in it, there's a currency within the game. Everything I've just been making so far. However, haven't found a store. I may just not have gotten to that section of the game yet. I'm sunk a few hours in.
Yeah.
But there does seem to be a currency. This game's free to play, is now obviously because it's in testing, but it's going to be free to play. So obviously they need to finance that in some way.
Yeah.
So, don't know. Their website is actually fairly sparse. There's not I think they've got a lot of information on the forums, and I just haven't had time to look through. So I've really been enjoying that. So it's, like you said, I guess definitely targeted at the younger audience.
Well,
so,
the images of like the be a hero and stuff on the actual website are that like really like cartoon,
really vibrant,
vibrant cartoon heroes, and like the kids and stuff. Like there has been a tradition from when we were like younger and stuff, and we watched our cartoons. The heroes that we watched on TV were not our age. They were like we had like the Batman animated TV series, right? And we were watching Batman, who was an older gentleman and stuff. And all of the people were much older, like Captain Planet and stuff. They were all older people than what.
Well, yeah, they were teenagers, I guess.
Now the transition has actually happened in the like the cartoon era and stuff, of going over to not the older people, but
Ben
kids
10.
watching kids nowadays. It's like, you've got Ben 10, you've got Teen Titans, you've got all the young people of watching themselves portrayed out on the screen, and that's what I can see clearly in the artwork of this game. Is like, hey kids, come and be a hero as a kid.
But and it's interesting because it'd be really good introduction into MMO style game because you watched the trailer, big emphasis, they're like explore caves and do quests with your friends. That's how. So there's an inbuilt friends list within the game, like you pointed out before. You inadvertently not part of Steam, which is interesting as well. Independent studio. I don't believe there's a major publisher behind the game. So I'm just really like this game seems really polished for where it's up to.
It does say, just as heroes are one of a kind in Sky Saga, every adventure is unique. What does that mean? That sounds very
it does say generating worlds when you go in, but then you end up in a world with someone else. So I'm a little confused.
Maybe the pub world is generated. I don't know
because a few times when I've loaded into a section, they have been like it has been different to another time. There's been a couple of islands I've ended up, but I think now this is also in my limited MMO time. Is there's definitely early areas you play, like early common areas you play where there's not a lot to kill you.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
You know that while you're getting up to speed and you can mine resources and do everything else. So they've just snipped at so many different things. It's really interesting. But I've been enjoying it, regardless if it's not aimed at my age group. And I don't know. I guess it's nice that you can just mine things, but that's not the primary.
Well, it looks like a game as Minecraft is a game that can unite like parents with children and stuff in a game. This looks like a much easier entry into that, multiplayer component of games like Minecraft, because Minecraft is still fairly difficult to jump in and do multiplayer and stuff. It doesn't really give you too much to lead on, whereas this had on the screen a lot of different objectives and stuff which you could work together to do. So yeah, it seems kind of cool and stuff. There's a hint of, like I was saying before, with the images and stuff behind the main logo on their website. They had these floating worlds, which really stood out, similar to in Destiny. There's the alien race, enemies and stuff in the game called the Vex and stuff, and around their sort of area they've got this sort of ancient architecture, which looks very similar to that. So that kind of looks cool.
Well, here we go. So how much will Sky Saga cost? Sky Saga will be free to play, which I already knew. Optional in-game purchases, but they've seemed to have kind of hidden behind or haven't really explained what that's going to be yet. So, but yeah, so that's what I've been playing a bit of that. Like I said, it popped up a while ago on Kotaku, and then it popped up on my Twitter feed through, I don't know, someone added me. They might have added me. So, or added the Trusty Crowbar AU. That's us.
That's right. Tweet us. Don't forget, you can still win a headset, which we got going. The one Douglas is going to.
Yeah, Turtle Beach.
Yep, Z60, it's on there. And all you have to do is go on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Trusty Crowbar podcast. Look for the Z60 video, watch it, and there's some instructions there on what to do on Twitter to win the headset.
And there's a few really good contenders at the moment. Going to be giving that away next week.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I've just.
So have you played anything?
Not a huge amount this week. Where was my Steam library? I did load up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk again then.
Yeah.
So, also I just showed you before we podcast. I didn't really play. Had seen this also popped up on Twitter, and I was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "There's another game that I'll probably buy and not spend that much time in."
Yeah.
But was Medieval Engineers.
Yeah, you were showing me this just earlier.
Which I really I don't know if what affiliation they have to Space Engineers.
It shares a striking resemblance to it.
Yeah, so building mechanics, but obviously medieval time. It's early access, I guess. It's early access on Steam at the moment. It seems that I don't know if there's going to be resource collection or what the actual game is going to be. At the moment, it's simply a sandbox builder, and you can fly and do whatever you want in unlimited resources. And you can literally just build castles. in a similar vein to Space Engineers, where there's a full physics system. There is destructible. Destructible? Is that the word? Lucas, stop googling.
Oh, I'm checking out many of it. It's a destructible world. Like reminded me like when you got one of the what are they? They're just a big rock, big giant round rock, metal rock to throw at like the world and stuff. And each part is very destructible in the sense of when I think back to Red Faction, when that game first came out, it had the G mod, which was this
probably more the most recent Guerrilla. What was the
Red Faction? Guerrilla had really good destruction. Red Faction, the one after that was terrible. Didn't have as really good, but Red Faction Guerrilla was fantastic in terms of like
the original Red Faction had it to like you could blow holes until you run out of RAM.
Yeah, and it was on PlayStation too, so the RAM was not very much. So
I never played that. I only played that on PC.
Oh, those games were so good. You didn't have the issue of RAM, did you?
No, it still did happen. You could. There was still only so much destruction you could do.
Yeah. So anyway, so this game destroying like the world, bits of the building and stuff, the physics that are in it, could break down, parts of the world, like the castle and stuff, which was fun to watch. But however, like it did have a slight delay in some things, like that were floating.
Well, admittedly, like I guess my computer's now 12 months old, 18 months old, and it is like an early access game. So in theory, they should be able to reduce things down. And when you break something, there is a lot of individual items on screen, and that's why no one does it. Like it is really
one thing is like
intensive,
completely designed and stationary, and then lots of these little bits and pieces have to break away.
And it has to do all the math of working out how heavy is that piece and where's that going to fall.
Which is why I was very surprised at. Like, I'm going back to Red Faction here, but that was so smooth back in the day of like destroying the buildings and everything.
Yeah, but it didn't fall. Like things weren't. I think you just have a fairy tale.
Not the original one. I'm talking Guerrilla. In the Guerrilla, where you like took down the four pillars of each, a building and stuff. The whole building would collapse down.
Yeah, and they did it in really specific ways. Though, like I played a little bit of that and had watched someone like old housemate play it. But they, I think, were probably pretty clever and choosy where they had buildings and to make sure it did run smoothly. Yeah. But just the same as Space Engineers, it has Steam Workshop integration, so you can make a level and upload it. So Lucas was watching me smash a level that someone had made a really wicked, in-depth castle, and not just the castle, like the whole foreground and little town in front of it, and a mill and all sorts of things. Like really impressive what like creative people can do with it. Like I said, I just purchased this game because I'm a sucker for those sort of games. But also there was 25% off Space. Like because I already had Space Engineers, I got 25% off Medieval Engineers.
Is this the same company that made it? King Software House, made Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers. They also made a game called V-Rage, Minor Wars 2081, and Minor Wars Arena.
They were all the precursors to
Space Engineers.
Yeah, because that was the game they wanted to make.
Space Engineers was.
Yeah. And it's just that technology wasn't there. And that explains then why they are so similar.
Well, V-Rage actually isn't a game, it's their in-house game engine.
Yeah, that they developed for it.
That's pretty cool. Or a voxel rage, they call it. Like the games purely seem, and you pointed out that it purely seemed more like a builder.
Like a level designer.
Level designer.
Yeah.
Because there's not a huge amount of objectives and stuff to it.
No, there's not. Well, so Space Engineers, because it's been out for a while now, so they have a survival mode now.
Oh, okay.
So you can build up, in which case then it's no real different to Minecraft or any of the Minecraft mods where there were space ones, except you start on an asteroid with really minimal amount of stuff, and then you can build and build and build, and that's the point from there. So it's the open-ended asteroid field that are huge, but you can build spaceships and build it with friends and have space stations. Like it is Minecraft on acid in space.
I do have to point out, like Space Engineers is on Windows and PC, but it's been announced that it will be available on Xbox One.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty cool. Like, you know, it's sold over 1 million copies, which is within the first year, actually, so it's sold heaps. That's fantastic for, like, a small little software house and stuff to...
Well, it's 30 or 40 bucks
market.
a throw for that game.
On a niche market, you know, in a game like that, and you're an independent studio, that's just...
And they've made probably $30 million.
Yeah, that's excellent. That is really good. So,
minus Steam cut. Yeah, but... yeah, I've had Space Engineers for a while, and I know, love the concept of it and love watching what people do, but just don't have just the time well.
Oh, yeah. You got to have like this grand vision of something that you want to build, and then know the intricate details of each sort of part of the game.
But you're still only building it like any model building, I guess. You're only building it for yourself.
Yeah. In
the end.
Unless you put it up in Steam Workshop, and then other people can... And
then your motivation is a little different.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I've been enjoying playing stuff. Something else just came out the other day. And I was listening to another podcast. I do that. And they were like, yeah, it was 6 or 7 hours. I think The Order. Did you see someone put a full playthrough up of The Order?
Yeah, well, that's something I wanted to bring up because The Order has been getting a bit of slack prior to it actually coming out with its
length. But no, so that's... I did a segue without even knowing I was doing a segue. But I'm down with that. I'm fine. Like $60, $70 if it is 7-8 hours, a really concise, amazing graphics, cool story, really good engaging gameplay. Yeah. Like someone said it perfectly on the podcast I was listening to. They were like, if someone can achieve everything they need to achieve in that time, good on them. It's not a short game because of that. Like, whereas from our day, when we were teenagers, the fact as games progressively have got shorter, like since we started high school, they have just gotten shorter and shorter. And everyone used to get so upset about it. And now it's just to the point where 8 hours would be it for most AAA titles.
Yeah, well, when you compare it to like the Call of Duty games and stuff, like you've got a 5 to 6 hour campaign. Sure, they do have a multiplayer component, which is a huge part of the game.
And people used to get upset about that. Yeah. Oh, 6 hours. Like Reese would have, only because he was the only person on the earth that played that single player.
When I read that The Order was going to be between a 6 to 8 hour game, I was ecstatic.
Because, you're the same as me. It was so time poor that if I can play a really good experience in that time, like love Bioshock, and then finally getting through and playing the expansion, I'm like, yep, awesome. I'm like, I was able to knock that out. Like playing Grow Home, that was even better. Like that was no story, so I liked some of those just experience games. Yeah. It was no story, but just like 4 hours, 5 hours, and I could have spent probably less time.
You tick that game off, you got to enjoy it and stuff.
And I can like go back and have a play of that if I want to.
Well, the one game that should be pointed out to anyone that's listening and stuff is The Last of Us. Like that game, a bit longer than The Order.
No, that seemed pretty long.
Yeah, well, that was like a 10 to 12 hour game, roughly, right? Now I don't see people that they don't have much issue if it's like 10, to 12 hours and stuff.
But even that, probably starts getting a little draggy for me.
There were moments which would...
Even though that game was quite good and so rich. Yeah. Like that's the difference too. Like it's always you're doing something. But that there was times where it got long. But only, I don't know, I sometimes get that in the story. Like sometimes a game gets in the way of the story.
Yeah.
But then obviously we're totally ignoring... any open world. So this is, when we say this is not taking into account anything that's open world.
And I think that's the great divide that we have right now is that there's a lot of these games which are trying to emulate that Minecraft, just go for it and you can play for a long time. Like,
but that's almost a separate one. Like you have open world... like sandbox, like your GTA. So it's a really rich world that's huge.
Yeah.
And you can still do random stuff, but there's quests and thing everywhere. Or there's, not that, but the latest Dragon Age, obviously huge. But then also the core story apparently is not that long. Then obviously all your Skyrim and all your Elder Scrolls, Fallout, obviously they're
just massive
So they're just big
games.
So but typically probably something with an RPG element has that totally open-ended sandbox, which is your Minecraft-esque and all the ones that are trying to emulate that. And
when you think about that, there'll be a lot of like similar missions and stuff. Go here, shoot this, bring this back. You know?
Yeah, you're not really, and even when it's a story enhancing mission that's the same, it's still the same mission that's just delivering you the content. But
now we should point out we haven't played the order yet.
No. So is it launched?
It has come out. It is out, and I'll be getting it this week. I'm pretty sure. So giving it a go.
But so this wasn't having a go at the order at all. Don't even care. Yeah. Like if it's a good game, the time 4 hours. That's when I would know it is short. But if it's 6 to 8 hours, that's probably like a really good size. But
for me to play it, it's probably going to be a 15-hour game.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to get. But then if you were paying $80, I would be upset. $60, I'm thereabouts, I'm fine with that.
I think the issue that most people were having was that there's not a huge amount of side quests to it, so there's not a lot of extra stuff that you can replay through and find this.
I haven't watched a lot, I'll admit, of what, apart from the initial trailers and things. I didn't understand there was any element of that game that wouldn't have been. I thought it was just like a straight door corridor shooter.
Which one? The order.
Yeah.
There's not. It's a story. It's you play a story.
Yeah, that's fine. It's but the funny thing is, it's almost like it's just what you want, what doesn't exist or you can't have. Once again, coming up when Half-Life and that was a bit different because it was really story driven, awesome game. Trusty Crowbar, But the thing was that's a little bit different. But I was always I wish there was just open world games, but there was limitations to why that didn't exist. And then I loved Morrowind, and I wanted more of that style game.
Yeah.
Now, even though I love the concept of those games, I just I don't even want to play them because
I can't put 20 hours into just figuring out what kind of character I am to have to restart again.
Because I don't do that. I just back it in because I'm too far and I'm too lazy.
You're no, got to keep going.
I talk about this just every now and again. Still haven't finished freaking Mass Effect, and that's nearly want to replay all of them so I can have a save file. But I'm I don't have 120 hours.
No. You could just smash through the story, but then you're not doing the decisions that you made.
Yeah,
that's the issue with it.
I don't know if they've done it on the latest Mass Effect. I nearly should do it for number 3 and just wind it back to story mode. So you just walk through and shoot everyone in the face once.
Yeah, I've thought about doing that, but then I feel like the decision in a Mass Effect where they're you can play story mode or you can play this adventure mode or action stuff. I'm am I missing something if I pick one? And I don't like missing those little beautiful moments in a game which you just wouldn't get.
I love the balance of that game. I wouldn't have played it on a super hard difficulty, but it was challenging without being too difficult. There was definitely I died in that game. Whatever levels I had played on, but you'd feel like you're cheating by going to the other mode. But then some of me wanted to play it. Same, I nearly wanted to. I'm I don't have time to play Dragon Age, but I'm everything about it. When people I hate it for this reason, I'm I'd probably like that. I'm I nearly want to play that on story mode just because apparently the story's so freaking good.
So you can play Dragon Age story mode.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna check that out.
So it's weird that just the transition, I guess, of time. When you were at high school or even being at uni, you're the concept, if a game lasts that long, that'd be freaking awesome that I could just, I'll just spend 8 hours and play this game for 8 hours. Now I just, I can't do that. I'd only be doing it just to get through and play it. So it's if anyone can provide me a really good experience in, a better period of time, it's the same. I had told myself, because I bought GTA straight away, didn't I, on PS4, or pretty quickly, even though I purchased GTA 5. Sorry, I'd purchased it for PS3 at launch as well, and I'm I'm totally going to play it. I really want to play this again. Yep,
I'm right there with you. I haven't. I made it to.
CJ? Is his name even CJ? Or am I thinking a long way? What's his name?
Yeah.
I made it Franklin. Franklin's house.
Franklin's story.
Yeah. I made it to his
his home. Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished it.
We got to the same spot. And then I was like...
And I haven't even went in to do all the random stuff because I'm like out in the desert or something at the moment.
I thought I would put a lot of time into multiplayer in this game because it just sounds... Like, the concept of the multiplayer is like, get in, just drive in with your friends, do some fun stuff here and there. Sounds good, but the investment when you're in a lobby with a bunch of friends and the time it takes for everyone to get organised to be like, let's go do this, instead of running around shooting each other, it's just such a large investment that, like, by the time we're like, okay, we're going to go do a race over here, everyone's like, nah, I can't be bothered anymore. And you're like, come on, like, dirt bikes up Mount Chiliad is the best.
Yeah,
so,
it's it's pretty funny. But I think I will purchase. I'll try and purchase the order. I haven't even looked what the general reviews of it have been.
I don't know. Let's not look. Let's just play it and give our listeners our review of what we think the order is going to be like.
If it's someone else, once again, listening or reading stuff. Hasn't been a lot of hype about it? Like, they kind of talked about it, and then...
There's been a lot of marketing behind it, but I think the hype's not there because it's a new IP, and it's one which they've kept
PS4
a lot of...
exclusive.
Yeah, they've kept a lot of information sort of hidden away in the background. It's like, hey, it's 1886, and, like, you're getting weapons by Nikola Tesla, and you're fighting against Lycans, but...
Oh, really? See, I don't know any of this.
Yeah, but they're like, we're not going to really reveal too much. It's... I actually did watch a review for it, and they did point out that it's like the story is just taken off and they're not telling you any backstory. They're just so confident in the game that they're like, hey, here's the characters, here's the play.
Sometimes I like that in movies and things where you just sort of start and it just is, and then it fills you in, if it's done well.
Well, you got to fill it in yourself, in the blanks. That's what the idea behind it is. So.
The other thing too, often, and it's a bit hard. This is only as a hearsay thing. I only never ended up going back and playing Uncharted 1 because everything I'd seen it's the poorest one in the series. So I sort of come along with Uncharted 2.
Did you play? Oh, you only started with 2.
Yeah, really loved it. And I was like, oh, should I go back and play 1?
And everyone's like, no,
once you've played 2, they're like, they'd fixed so many... There's no game-breaking issues, but they're like just so many annoying things. And they just refine and refine to the point where... it sort of does away on the old ones, and they just build a really good thing, and that was obviously a fresh IP. Yeah. I know it's not everyone's thing, and it's sort of been a bit up and down over the time, but Assassin's Creed, like, number 1, was definitely not the strongest in the series. And regardless, I'm more thinking the original, like, trilogy or the original story arc. So, number 1, they're like, hey, we've got a cool idea, and they had to build so much tech to do it that it just then wasn't everything it should have been. Yeah. And then they really...
It was basically Assassin's engineers that you got in.
They're like... It was
a tech
like,
demo for
no, it was beta.
Yeah.
They're like,
it was beta for number 2.
Number 1. Like, it was 40 hours of beta, and they're like, what did you think of that, guys? Like, well... These chase scenes are really effing annoying.
I don't know how, but I actually got through that game. And, like, I really liked the first one. I can't remember a huge amount of it, but I just remember really pushing through that game and powering through. And then
too.
Getting
only
number
for the story. So I would grind on that game because I loved the story. They built a really cool universe, and there was times where I'm just like, in terms of doing the same missions over and over, that game. And then there was so many chase sequences that I stuffed up. And originally, if I'm remembering correctly, when you stuffed up the chase sequences, originally it took you a fuckload, like, right back. Yeah. Like, it was same as GTA. You go and try and play GTA 3. No mission resaves. Like, it was a big deal, whichever one they brought in, cab, where the cab would drop you off at the mission, and you'd have to still restart the entire thing. And then they just went to checkpoints. Like, they just realised that's what had to happen. But then that was probably an engine limitation that it was designed for PS2.
Yeah.
But, it was sort of just interesting when you said to your thing of
you
a new IP. Like, so it's interesting. Like, even if this is just a solid game, but they're like, yeah, it could be more. I bet you then, if that's where it sits, number 2 of it, if they're like starting
will be a much larger expanse on it. Hopefully it'll be the Uncharted 2 of the order.
Yeah, it's like anything though. Yeah. You've got to introduce everyone to it. There might be mechanics that you had to leave out because, we can't throw everything into the first game. You know, like anything, a new movie franchise, if it wants to be a franchise, and you've got to introduce the characters and set the scene, and then from there,
you've got to get everyone used to the very brown palette that the whole game is going to be.
That's actually, I did notice that even from the thing. But I don't know, like I said, that's talking from purely not playing it, but if it's just a good polished experience, it's the sort of thing that I'm probably looking for. Well,
at least these games actually came out. I'm just looking at an article at the minute. It's just about successful Kickstarters that have just never delivered, disappeared.
Yeah.
And like your one on there that you backed, Yog Ventures. Yeah, Yog Ventures. That's on there. $567,000.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah. Then it's weird too because it represents on the Yogs Cast guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And they actually came back.
But then it's weird. So then they had given away another Kickstarter game, which was Tug, which is we've had jokes about before, which was another Minecraft-esque game. That then backed this team right back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not long after.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then they also had given away, which I haven't spent a lot of time in, and this was another game with a really good building mechanic. What's the new Ultimate? Lands. The new... it's no longer...
Which one?
No longer Sony. I had a key for it.
Landmark.
Landmark, yeah. So, was that Sony? That's Sony SOE.
It used to be Sony Online Entertainment, but they've dissolved now. I think
and now just online. They're just online.
No, they sold it to... who?
They're just Online Entertainment.
Is that what you've read?
Well, they're literally just the Sony section. It's gone.
Well, we'll have a look at it. But Yog Ventures giving away those games and stuff. One which I didn't realise had diminished into nothing was the Stomping Land.
No, I thought that he had not said much, but I think it is still going.
Well, it says here the Stomping Land was released Steam Early Access in May 2014.
I think he pulled it off Early Access.
But then went radio silent and apparently stopped working on the dinosaur game. And last month, artist Vlad Konstantinov, if I got that right, announced that he had quit the project after his messages to Fundora went unreturned and back as a Furious. It's... I don't know, I'm hoping that the game's still in development because, I knew I didn't want to, back it while it's early access.
I've been... Because... Well, I guess I've definitely been burnt on a few things, but I've been I am now a lot more wary of what I do go after, and then I straight away jumped on Medieval Engineers. I'm like, that looks cool.
Yeah, but that's a company which has followed through.
Yeah, they weren't.
They've earned the respect.
But probably the biggest one is Goddess, Peter Molyneux. Which I was always skeptical of that guy. I don't know why he's so unlikable. I don't know if I've talked about this.
I have no issue with him.
He is such a jerk because I follow them on YouTube.
Yeah.
And before any of this happened, so this has been an ongoing thing for me. Hate the guy. So effing annoying.
Why?
Don't know. Just something about him. He's such a jerk face. And I got cross ages ago when they started doing a iOS version. Works really well on your phone, but they did a micro transaction iOS one. Yeah. And I ranted about that on some episode.
I remember you said.
Yep, super angry about that. And I didn't realise until now because of everything that's coming out. So they sold off the rights to a publisher so that they could get more money to keep going. But I don't ever understand what's so effing difficult about the game. What has he done? Jeez. But it actually was quite a fun game. There was elements and I could see there is glimmers of what should be good. And it seems like so many of his games have been that way. So he was a big driver behind Fable. And apparently I never even realised...
I recently watched an interview that he has done. And I read a full article where this review, like the guy that did the interview, just ripped
on,
right in. Did you read
that? Paper.
Polygon?
No, it was on...
Oh, scissors, paper, rock, paper, shotgun.
Yep.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yep.
And he just got ripped to shreds. I actually...
And now he said he won't talk in public.
Yeah. Which I can understand that if they're going to, really attack his personality and stuff. Because, see, I really don't have much of an issue with him talking up what he would like to achieve. But when he announces that something's going to be in a game that is not really possible without, like people behind the game discussing and saying, yeah, well, let's achieve this and let's not achieve that. There's so many...
But they had they raised a lot of money.
Did they? I didn't check. Goddess. Kickstarter. But, a lot of money there is not enough. Even, Broken Age.
Yeah. He's come back into into all this.
Well, that's
he dropped space-based DF9.
Yeah, because they just couldn't.
But how could you be see, that annoy me. Everyone loves him, and yet I still take Reese literally bought that game 2 or 3 weeks before.
I know, right?
But that game looked really cool. I love that.
But no one was buying it. That's the issue. It's and that's. It's sort of a negative and a positive thing for developers now that they can get a bit of money and an idea behind a game without putting too much investment in it, and completely losing out. Goddess here only raised £526,000, I think that is.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what.
Not as much as I thought.
Yeah. Whereas Broken Age got $4.5 million.
Well, see, then he was different because they raised so much. They went up so many tiers, and then they were like, "We're doing all this and this and this."
Well, he just made his game a lot larger than what it was going to be. This is Tim Schafer we're talking.
Yeah, that's right.
And through development, they still needed extra money in, and that's why they had to split it into alpha, into part 1 and part 2 release and everything. So things have had to change, but I've not really had any issues with the game Broken Age, purely just because I'm like, okay, I really still want to play it, and they're still working on it. That's what I don't get about people having an issue with Goddess right now, is they're still working on it.
They're like a really small team.
Yeah.
So features have been very slow on that game. Now, and then the game got split into 2 because it went to an iOS version. Yeah. But anyway, to ones I always talk about. But then until this probably blows up in my face, but the way the Stone Hearth guys, which I talk about, so I think they probably got lucky. They raised $500,000 odd. Yeah. They take more orders. I have no idea how many orders they've been taken, but I spoke about how they've refused to go on to Steam Early Access to begin with. They think they're going to go on to Steam in the near future once they're sort of starting to get to more a functioning game. Yeah. Or a fully functioning game.
They raised 750,000.
Or 750. But they've only...
There was a period in time when Kickstarter just had this influx of people to it spending money on games. And, if you had your game in it, like Stonehearth...
But they had a really good trailer.
I don't think now, if you had it on there, they would get that much money at
Possibly
all.
not because so many people have been burnt. But their community is really active, and they're active within the community. They are probably... they're almost the poster boy for... This is how things are be done,
and
they're fairly on target. I said this a week or two ago. I'm a little skeptical on their time frame, but I'm fine with that. If multiplayer is 6 months, 8 months behind, really doesn't worry me. That game is it's a Sims, it's a whatever. It's that time waster game that can be there in the background that you can just pick up and play, and then they want to build it in such a way that the community will be able to keep making mods and things for it.
Just to grow the game.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think they just hit on a good idea, and that's going to be a lot of... Good idea is one thing, and then execution is the next. So they're a small team, might be 4 or 5. So you take your 700,000, if everyone's happy to be on a restricted wage on $40,000 or $50,000 a year for... or whatever the wage is in America for an engineer... for a software engineer or a developer.
Until the game gets released.
So they've got a couple of years,
Yeah.
Realistically, where they could run their quote-unquote studio without any big dramas, with no extra money coming in.
A lot of people don't realise that $750,000 developing a decent-sized game with a decent-sized studio is barely a year's worth of wages.
Well, it wouldn't be anywhere near it, but that's what I mean, where they've got a really unique thing, because they've got the two main brothers, they've got one extra guy that's like their core tech engine guy. They brought on one other girl that's a developer, and then they might have a music guy, which was actually someone who was making fan music, and they're like, your stuff is freaking awesome, and just does the whole soundtrack.
Oh,
so
really?
he's only, I guess he's subcontracted.
He'd be contracted, yeah.
So really, they've only got 4 team members. And like I said, I think they'd all, especially the two brothers, they've been quite successful for a time. And they were set up probably, you'd feel they were probably pretty financially sound and done their own thing. And now this is just that next step. So they've got a cool idea, they're quite mature, bit older, and they're just punching through with their game plan, and everything's just
clicking. It'd be like if we raised $100,000. It'd be like a year's worth of full-time dedication to entertainment and content and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, like I said, I can understand but how people run their money, but then that's their own fault. If they say this is how much I need to make a game, well, just work. It's just purely you work it out from the math standpoint of just for wages, this is what it's going to cost the studio. And if you can't allow for that and you get 6 months in, or if you haven't allowed for some sort of extra game plan, well,
they
shouldn't be
we're
asking.
back on Goddess, aren't we? So
probably in a little bit.
The money which they asked for and stuff. What did they ask for? Let's just have a look at that, because this has been all over everything. They're £450,000, so that was their asking price, and they got, what do they get? A fair bit of cash and stuff. So
yeah, it depends on how good your team members are and a lot of things.
Yeah.
See,
there's a fair amount of people that work at 22K.
Oh yeah, you see so many people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You've overhired people, and then if they're not efficient, you can understand how it would get out of control really quickly. But as I said, he's done it before, and a lot of studios there would be games that never make never really see the light of day. But the difference is this time it's individuals' money.
Yeah, it's like if you had a studio which you were like, hey, I want to do this and do this and do this. People get cranky at the studio, but I can understand people getting a bit cranky at Peter Molyneux just purely for the fact that he's the one that always says, hey, I'm going to put this in my game and this in my game and this in my game, and just really can't deliver it. And I respect the guy for having great ideas, and I've had a lot of fun with a lot of his games.
Yeah, same.
And I really want to play Goddess, but Goddess was a game when I looked at the Kickstarter, it didn't make me go, I need to back it. Yeah,
I got in after the Kickstarter, once it got to the point where I thought it was cool.
Oh,
because I was the same. I was like, that seems really cool. I'm like, and then I was just splurged on Steam one day. But
I'll just buy that. So you're not even cranky because you're a Kickstarter back. You're just cranky because you bought an unfinished game.
Yeah, but it's exactly the same.
What do you mean?
How is it any different?
Well,
I purchased it where I was at the stage where I could play something, but I didn't trust that setup. From the start, I was skeptical. Yeah. And I left it, and then the trailer said, oh, okay, this has got to the point where, I honestly thought to myself, I'll let this play out, and if it gets to the point where it is closer to the game, I'll re-look at it. And I did closely watch it. To the point I'm like, cool, sounds like a game. And then, no. Anyway.
Well, look, before we actually finish this episode, I do need to point out that Sony Online Entertainment is renamed Daybreak Game Company.
Yeah, okay. Who purchased it? Does it really say?
It was purchased has been sold by Sony to investment firm Columbus Nova.
You'd love to know what is the go there. Why would Sony sell that off?
There's not much that was actually running through it. Let's have a look. Who's Columbus Nova and what do they do?
So, like I said,
they have their new game H1N1.
So Landmark, the zombie game.
Yeah.
What else have they done?
Well, I'm not too sure, so...
feel like they've done a fair bit of stuff over time.
There we go. The Columbus Nova, their assets include Rhapsody, Fiverr, the website Fiverr.
Yeah.
And Daybreak Game Company. So apparently they've got a portfolio which is worth over $15 billion.
Yeah, not much.
That's just insane. I just cannot believe it.
Okay, well, I feel like I just
Senior managing partner Jason Epstein also owns Harmonix, the makers of Guitar Hero.
Yeah, okay.
Who he bought from Viacom. This one guy bought Harmonix from Viacom. He's like, I really like Guitar Hero, and he probably sent his paid, guy that does all his bookkeeping and stuff. Yeah. He's like, look, can you go buy me a Guitar Hero? The dude went out and bought Viacom, bought the whole Harmonix
He's
company.
misunderstood.
Comes back, he's like, I own the company. So he's like, hang on, I just wanted Guitar Hero for the Wii.
No, he's got a different in-app purchase than what we have. Purchase app, and it's a little bit different.
Purchase company.
Yeah.
Far out.
Well, thanks for listening. If you made it to the end, I feel like I just ranted. But anyway, that happens. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Mm-hmm. I occasionally put out things. I might tweet right now. I'm going to tweet after this episode. Yep. You find us Trusty Crowbar AU. Mm-hmm.
Go to our YouTube. It's youtube.com/Trusty Crowbar podcast. Facebook page is facebook.com/The Trusty Crowbar.
Yep. Like Lucas said, just to reiterate, you can win some headphones at the moment. A couple of different videos on there for some really cool turtle beach gear.
Yeah.
Reese was meant to be giving a set away tonight, but away. Well done, Reese.
Yeah. He gave it away.
He did. So you find all the details, how to win some stuff there. Australia only. Sorry for this time. We don't want to be shipping stuff worldwide. Fair enough.
We're poor.
Yeah, it's true.
And we do this on no budget, so if you want to fund us somehow.
Yeah, don't even go into it. But once these current promotions wrap up, I think we'll look at doing some other stuff, probably some digital content.
Yeah, some cool stuff. We've got a couple of games to give away.
We do, so we'll do that. So keep an eye out for that. Other than that, we're on Facebook. What's our Facebook stuff?
Already done that one.
Done Facebook, done Twitter, done it all. I zoned out. Maybe a website there will be in some stage.
Maybe. We'll see.
See what happens. Yeah. That's all. Well, good episode, Lucas.
Yes, thank you, Doug.
That's all right.
I'm Lucas Winningsley.
I'm Douglas Bright.
This was the Trusty Crowbar episode
102.
Oh, what? 102. Let's not say 102 because it doesn't sound as good as 102.
102.
Oh, stop it, Doug. Catch you later.
Damn it, Doug.